What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network for the best decks in standard format and Pokemon trading card game for March 2023. This will be the last full month before standard format rotates out the deregulation mark cards and Scarlet and Violet comes out. Before we get into today's best decks and the deck lists for them, be sure to check out my sponsors. There's an affiliate link for US and EU customers for Dragon Shield down below. Whenever you use those links, you help support my channel. Beast Coast Pokemon, you can subscribe to them, find the link down below as well. PokemonCard.io for deck list building and sharing, and then also use code CELIO for 5% off all of your purchases over at PotownStore.com when shopping for PTCGO and PTCGL code cards. So like I said, cards with regulation mark D rotate out of the format on April 14th. Scarlet and Violet releases on March 31st, and PTCGO will not be receiving updates for Scarlet and Violet, so prepare your migration to Pokemon TCG Live. I would check out Trust Your Pilot. That's a great YouTube channel for what to do with the migration, how to set your account up well, and Zapdos TCG has also done some videos on that, so definitely check out those two channels if you're not too sure about PTCG Live and how to set up your account to migrate with the most optimal collection and everything like that. But with that out of the way, let's get into the best decks this month. So this is the top tier. We've got Lost Zone decks, Lugia V-Star, and Mew VMAX. Below them, we've got Duraludon VMAX, Hisuian Guja V-Star, Vikavolt V, and Regigigas. And then the next tier down would be Eviltal, representing control decks, Galarian Weezing Eternatus, and then Arceus plus a Lightning partner, either Tapu Koko VMAX or Arceus with Flying Pikachu VMAX. And then just so we get some angry comments down below, I will put the tiers here. So if you disagree with those tiers, just go ahead and let me know. I'll look forward to that. But let's get into the deck lists for these. So for Lost Zone, we'll show two different decks. This is the Rayquaza Raikou variant. If you guys have been following standard format for the past like 3 or 4 months, not much has been changing since we only got a mini set in the past 3 to 4 months. So yeah, Rayquaza Raikou has not changed much. This is from Nick Moffitt. He placed 4th at Knoxville. Rayquaza hits heavy with amazing burst. Raikou does spread damage to take multiple knockouts at once. And that's really the deck. You got Sableye for the mirror match as well, Cramorant to attack for free. We also have James Cox's list from 10th place regionals over in Bochum, using that Zekrom for paralysis wild shock. That's really good against Lugia. James has his own YouTube channel, and he already talked about his tournament review over there. He talks about Lost Box a whole lot, so if you want more curated Lost Box content, definitely check out his YouTube channel. I believe it is James CX, but if you search like James Lost Box Pokemon, you'll find James's YouTube channel because he does a lot of content on Lost Zone decks. Next, we've got Lugia. Andrew Hedrick won 2 major regional championships in a row with Lugia V-Star. This is the de facto Lugia V-Star deck list right now. You got all the tech attackers, Raikou, Eviltal, Radiant, Zard. Stoutland's just about a staple for the deck at this point. And then you got your Lugias. Andrew went with the Irida plus Vacuum plus Belt. No Escape Rope and no Bird Keeper, not respecting the paralysis options, and it got him the first place. Mew VMAX. This one's a little weird. It has 1/1 Flying Pikachu in it. That's courtesy of Andrew Mahone and Jesse Parker. If you want to hear more about this variant of Mew VMAX, Andrew Mahone has a video over on his channel, Tricky Jim, talking about the deck. Or it might be on Tricky Jim VODs, because I think he talked about during his stream as well. So either on Tricky Jim or Tricky Jim VODs, or maybe even both, there is content for the Flying Pikachu line in the Mew VMAX deck. But if you want the regular old Mew VMAX, here we have Alexander's list from 9th place in Bochum. This deck strategy is going to be to Judge or Marnie plus Path to the Peak. disrupt the opponent. Then you have the Lost Vacuum to remove the path on your own turn when you need to use your own Cross Fusion Strike abilities to draw more cards. Very solid, consistent, not too hard to play. Very good deck. Moving on, we've got Arceus Duraludon. We've got that token top 8 placement from Grant Shen. Just seems like if he plays Arcdora to an event, he'll get a top 8, so good for him. Frank Mittmeyer also placed in day 2 with this deck. Arceus Duraludon, another pretty simple, solid deck to play. Skyscraper on Duraludon stops it from being hit by Pokemon with special energy on it. Big Parasol stops Amazing Rare Eviltal from knocking it out. Lost City helps against Regis to send a couple copies of one of the Regis to the Lost Zone, and that pretty much ends the game for them. So, simple deck, but you can tech it out to be better against the matchups you want to be, just like we see they did here for Knoxville Regionals. Next is Hisuian Gujar V-Star, which has been back into the metagame for a little bit now with the Lost Zone version of Hisuian Gujar V-Star. The Rolling Iron attack does 200 and you take 80 less damage next turn, so that's going to be great against Regis. It's going to be great against Lost Zone decks. It can be good against some other things as well. It struggles a little bit more against Mew, against Duraludon. They have options to go through that. Mew also has gusting options and things like that, power tablets to do more damage, but you do have Drapion V for that matchup, and you have Temple of Sinnoh for the Lugia matchup, because Lugia can also kind of just hit so hard that your damage reduction doesn't matter, as well as going through it with Amazing Rare Eviltal. So you've got your Temple of Sinnoh for Lugia, you got your Drapion for the Mew matchup. Next, we've got Vikavolt V. Alex Schemanske placed top 8 in Knoxville with this, but prior to it, Vikavolt got second at a regionals, and it also got first at a regionals in North America. Then it got first at another European regionals, I believe. So Vikavolt has been getting a good bit of success in this format. Also, I believe it's pronounced Vikavolt, but it's hard to break the habit of incorrect pronunciations. So Vikavolt V, Paralyzing Bolt, locks your opponent from playing item cards next turn. This is a powerful strategy throughout the history of the Pokemon trading card game, and then you get to use your own items willy-nilly, however you like. The Aerodactyl V-Star is there to use its Ancient Star V-Star power attack, because it gives itself an ability that says your opponent's V Pokemon have no abilities. That shuts off Lugia. It won't let it Summoning Star. And then if they can't knock out the Aerodactyl or negate that ability, then you'll just beat Lugia because they can't put Archeopsis on the board. Against the Lost Zone decks, you're item locking. Against most decks, item lock is going to be your friend. And then you also have Raikou as just a strong attacker when you need to do a lot of damage. And of course, Drapion V for the Mew matchup. Here we've got Regigigas. Rahul placed top 4 at back-to-back regionals with Regis. Justin Bokhari also brought it along in Knoxville, got 18th place. I think Regis is really solid. If I went to Knoxville, it was definitely one of my top choices just because it's a solid deck. There's not too much to change in the deck list from tournament to tournament. I think Rahul's list was really solid for the previous event, and then he changed 2 cards for Knoxville. So solid deck, hits hard, can beat almost anything. You even have like the escape rope plus boss if like a Pikachu, if like Pikachu or an Ice Cube or something gets in the active that you need to take care of, you can put it on the bench, then boss it back up. Yeah, just very, very solid deck all around. It is a little bit predictable because you know what's in your opponent's deck, right? Because you have to have 6 Regis on the board for it to work. So you know your opponent's just gonna have a board of Regis, so it's predictable in that sense. But there are also a lot of different attacks to choose from with this. So I really like this deck for the rest of the format. I think it's super solid, it's pretty smooth, and it has a lot of high damage output potential. Then we've got Control. Not really something I'd suggest picking up at the end of this format when things are about to change a whole lot, because this is a convoluted deck, pretty complicated to play. You'll see it has some solid placements, but it's very hard to play if you haven't already been playing these sorts of decks. Evil Cry of Destruction is going to discard energies. Snorlax Gormandize draws cards for you. Miltank's Miracle Body can wall out some decks if they don't have any non-V attackers or any attacks that goes through effects. You got Ice Cube's Block Face to work against basic only decks. Eldegoss can kind of loop itself, so if you get your opponent stuck in the active with like Boss's Orders plus Galar Mine, or you remove all of their energies with Eviltal, then you can just loop the Eldegoss back into your deck, draw into it, loop it back into your deck, draw into it to stop yourself from ever decking out. Galarian Wheezing Eternatus. We've got this up here because Brandon Salazar just got second place in Knoxville with the same list that Orion Sutherland got top 32 in Orlando with. I actually lost to Orion round 3 of Orlando Regionals. Got me real good with the boost shake. Yeah, this can just outright win some games because you evolve into Galarian Wheezing, and then Eternatus gives you a large bench, so you can just play Crobats every turn. It's a very annoying deck to play against if it counters your deck, but there are some decks that will just swing through all the Wheezings and don't really care about the ability lock. And finally, Arceus variants. We've got this Arceus Flying Pikachu Duraludon Mumbo Jumbo that Tai Nguyen did really well with in Bokum, so I wanted to show this off. It looks like a pile, probably is a pile. Tai was able to do really well with it, so shouts out to them. And then Hino got first place at the Late Night 77 the other day with this Arceus Tapu Koko Flying Pikachu Arceus deck. So those are a couple Arceus decks that are a little more on the fringe side, but I thought deserved a spot here since they have been getting those performances. And those are the best decks in March right now for the Pokemon TCG. Hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon TCG content. I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.